will try to get certain people to learn how to direct you around. They will be taught and conditioned to become quote-unquote leaders in their little worlds, their little bubbles. And then they try to take down other people at the expense, you know, those people are taken, the nicer people could be taken down. And the other people, seemingly, they believe they gain at the expense of the person who's supposedly acquiescent, if you will. So we will not have it. You know, I can sound as nice as possible, but I just keep reporting bad activity to the CIA and other agencies. That's it. Have a nice day. Got corgis in anticipation of Queen Elizabeth dying. Queen Elizabeth's favorite dog was the corgi. And when I returned to Philadelphia in May of 2021, everyone in their second, third, fourth, fifth, you know, generation cousin had a corgi. And I was like, and then Queen Elizabeth died. So I think there's an Australian up for the chopping block, because a lot of people got mini Australian Shepherds or mini American Shepherds. They look very similar. I keep smelling that old hairspray, the purple kind. They call it Aussie or whatever. So I wondered who in Australia I would actually believe this, in leadership is on the chopping block. I am so not kidding. So I'm wondering, too much Australia has been coming up lately. So I'm just sort of wondering, you know, what'll pop up in the news. So we'll see. But that's why people had the corgis. They were waiting for Queen Elizabeth to finally croak. That's about it. Was her favorite breed. She had corgis as pets. That's about it. And guess what? 1 million people believe in the same thing and they get the same idea. I want to get a corgi because we think we're at the top of the levels of secret intel information. Meanwhile, Queen Elizabeth was already like incredibly elderly. Technically, if you get a dog and the dog lives 13 years, you're pretty darn sure to hit the mark on Queen Elizabeth having passed away during your corgi tenure, you know what I mean? So, especially if you got it in recent years, you know. Because all of a sudden, you know, it'll come up, you know, then there's Corgi Fest and everybody loves it. I will admit, I took care of a Corgi and I will admit they are very lovable, even if you don't immediately enjoy the appearance of a Corgi. Because at first glance, it could be like, oh my God, they're scrawny dogs, you know, I'm a bigger dog person, this, that, and the other. But they are very lovable. It is like an actual thing. If you care for a Corgi. I heard they're also easy to train. And again, back to the topic that I was talking about before, people who desperately want to feel like leaders will purchase dogs on purpose. They learn earlier on in their lives or later to get a dog in order to learn how to be superior, to be the one in control, to learn how to handle. You see what I mean? Some people get cats on purpose, not just because they're independent and don't need to be taken out for a walk every, but because they know this already. They know people get dogs in order to feel as if they're in control. That's something I would learn later. Like, oh, that makes sense. Because some people grow up and they're conditioned to be leaders. Other kids are surviving and it's just not really in the repertoire of what you learn. Like, yeah, I'm fascinated by this. So anyway, little interesting tidbit. We didn't have the luxury of thinking that way. I do see it as a luxury. We will train our kids to be more leadership oriented. We will boss people around. We will be bullies, you know. That is a privilege and a luxury, to be in a position to even plan, orchestrate, premeditate the conditioning of your child. Many kids out here are lucky to survive. Right here. And the parents, you know, they're exhausted, they work, you know, or a single parent works 40 plus hours a week, maybe 2 jobs, what have you. And, you know, they would like for their kids to succeed, but either they didn't have the education of thinking, oh, I'm supposed to train my kid like a dog to be a leader, or should I let my kid be and just let them blossom as they will? You know, some people are more free-spirited oriented. The conditioning of a person one way on purpose with intention is in the game of dog's world. So some people think, you know, some people know enough, they are educated enough to be like, I noticed the strengths of this particular child are, you know, this, that, and the other, so this would be a good route to go for them. You know, follow the strengths, you know, the strengths of another person, as opposed to focusing on weaknesses and trying to strengthen those. Always strengthen the strengths first. You can work on the weaknesses later, unless it works out on its own. So I grew up, you know, with some backseat drivers, some peanut gallery folks who were always trying to tell my mom, well, Sharon needs this, Sharon needs that, Sharon this, Sharon that, Sharon. And if they would have left the hell just fuck alone, life would have been better. But now, everybody had to have an opinion. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians, as my mom would say. Sounds like Philly. Everybody thinks they're a chief and you know, everybody's the boss, therefore everybody's a bully, as far as I'm concerned. By the way, over here, I had a little incident with the airwaves in the air, and I had a little moment of feeling off balance. This has happened several times. Like, since I've been here, it's only happened maybe once or twice. Once definitely the other day. I'm trying to remember if it happened before. In 2011 through 2012, we're talking 5, 6, 7 times, I would walk this very block, this area here, and I would feel like almost like a lift, as if someone was trying to pull my soul up out of my body. That's the best way to describe it. And I kept saying, I was in PTSD mode out the ASS because of what began in January 2011, which I often talk about in my videos, vlogs, what have you. And I just kept telling myself, you know, I'm staying in, I'm keeping it in, I'm staying in, stay in. It's hard, I forget exactly what I said, but I remember that I needed to keep my grounded, keep myself in. I even sought, you know, the guidance or assistance of a counselor, therapist, sliding scale, nonprofit, women's based, because women often feel oppressed by the patriarch. So, and if you go to the wrong